Okay. Hey, look back, where did you go? Yes, sir. It's video. Okay, ready? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the City of Hialeah Planning and Zoning Board meeting for Wednesday, August 23rd, 2023. Please stand. Lord, we ask for your wisdom. We ask that you watch over us as we make these decisions tonight. Please help us make the right decisions for the city and this constituents. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Do we have anybody on Zoom? Cesar, you'll be on there, right?
Yeah. Bueno, he should.
Boy, I went from one bad chair to two bad chairs.
Meeting guidelines. The following guidelines apply to today's planning and zoning board meeting. Any person, whether participating via the web platform, telephonic conferencing, or physical presence at City Hall, interested in making comments or posing questions on any item on the agenda may do so during the meeting. Members of the public may hear the meeting live through telephonic conferencing using any telephone or cellular phone service. A smart device or computer are not necessary to participate in the meeting if you join by phone. All persons participating via the web platform will be muted during the meeting until called upon to be heard. Participation through Zoom requires a computer or smart mobile device with a microphone and web camera. The participant may elect to participate in the meeting using audio only or appear through both audio and video. The video function of all participants appearing through video will be turned off until called upon to be heard. All lobbyists must register with the Planning and Zoning Board prior to item being heard. A maximum of 4 speakers in favor and 4 speakers in opposition will be allowed to address the Planning and Zoning Board on any item. Each speaker's comment will be limited to 3 minutes. Roll call. Mr. D. Perez?
Here.
Mr. Gamon is absent. Mr. Iglesias?
Here.
Mr. Jimenez?
Present.
Mr. Ulloa?
Here.
Mr. Casanova is absent. Mrs. Enriquez is absent. We have a quorum. Administration of oath to all applicants and anyone who will be speaking before the board on any item.
Anyone and everyone that's going to speak in front of the board, please stand, raise your right hand, and we'll swear you in.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth before this board?
I do. ¿Usted jura que va a decir la verdad frente a la Junta? Okay, thank you. Let the record show the answer was in the affirmative. You may be seated. Hey, we have one more. Yes. Let the record show Mrs. Enriquez is walking in. Just in time.
Summary minutes or a copy of the audio file. The proceedings before the Planning and Zoning Board shall be prepared and submitted to the City Council before its hearing. The Planning and Zoning Board recommendations for the following public hearing requests will be heard by the City Council at a scheduled meeting of Tuesday, September 12th, 2023.
Okay, this meeting is twofold, right? One land use item and a regular
Regular.
PNC. Okay, so we're gonna go to land use first. Okay.
LU1, small scale map amendment from medium density residential to commercial. Property is located at northwest intersection of Southeast Eighth Court and Park Drive. Lot 8 and a portion of Lot 6, Block 3 of 36th Street lawns, according to PB 24-38 of the Public Records of Miami-Dade County. Hialeah zones are one family district. Applicant Felix M. Lasarte Esquire.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, board members. Felix Lasarte, office at 3250 Northeast First Ave.
Thank you, sir.
Are you going to read the
Yeah, yeah.
report? Okay.
The property in this application consists of one entire lot, Lot 8, and a small portion of an adjacent lot, Lot 6, within Three Friends Park located at the northwest intersection of Southeast 8th Street and Park Drive. This property is in the process of being swapped with another property adjacent to the park with the purpose of allowing a parcel consolidation with the adjacent block to the south. The consolidation of the lots will allow the redevelopment of the property with a new pharmacy discount store on the site, currently improved with a motel built in the 1950s and an automotive-oriented business. Both businesses face Okeechobee Road and Park Drive, where it can be frequently observed how cars from the automotive business abuse the use of the city's right-of-way. The subject properties have medium density land use and are one family district zoning, as most properties in the block, except for a parcel at the northeast intersection of Lejeune Road and Park Drive that has commercial land use with R1 zoning, and another one facing Southeast 12th Street that has R2 zoning. The adjacent block to the south has commercial land use, and the properties on the east side of Southeast 8th Court have major institutions and medium-density residential land uses. At this time, the applicant is requesting a land use change from medium-density residential to commercial. The redevelopment proposal will change the configuration of the block where the subject lots are located and the adjacent lot to the south, as well as the right-of-ways. The proposed new block configuration opens an opportunity to replace the existing outdated buildings no longer compatible with this prominent intersection. This location presents an opportunity to provide a building that will hierarchize the important corner that marks the entrance to the city from State Road 112 and Lejeune Road. Since the subject lots will become part of the proposed commercial development, the requested commercial land use is consistent with the proposed use and compatible with the area and shall be approved.
Yes.
Yes, they're going to replace with another, yeah. Thank you, Mrs. George. Felix?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I'm very excited to be representing CVS Navarro in this particular project. I gave you a handout, which we're going to use for the land use portion of the hearing and for the zoning portion, because we're doing land use and zoning tonight. The reason I'm excited is that it's not every time that you come, to the city with a project that we feel is going to really improve an area, significantly. That corner of Okeechobee Road and Lejeune Road is a historical entrance, to the city. That's really where, that area of town is really where the city started. In fact, the train station, the historic train station where Henry Flagler would bring in tourists to the racetrack is about 3 or 4 blocks away from this. So this is really where the city starts. And if you're coming from Miami Beach or you're coming from the airport, this is really this is Main and Main. So if you look at the aerial in the second page, it kind of shows you exactly, the entire site. What we're rezoning are 2 very small pieces that we're getting from the city. Actually, one small piece that we're getting from the city is what we're actually getting the land use and zoning change for to commercial. But just the site in general, so you could see it and envision it, it's the area right on Lejeune and Okeechobee Road. If you go to the third page, which is the existing conditions, you could see this is where Palacio Motel is, and there's also an automotive use. When we were going through the land swap hearing last night, and I know, or your city planner was there, Councilman Tundador mentioned that when they did research on all these hotels that are in the area, it seems like this is one of the hotels that really caused a lot of problems, in terms of enforcement. So that's what we've been able to work with the mayor and the administration and your staff to try to come up with a plan that I think is going to be super good in terms of an entrance to the city, and it removes a condition here which is really blighted. And you can see from the pictures that it is. So what we're proposing is a Navarro CVS. Now, normally these Navarro CVS buildings, and I'll say it because I think your planner would agree with me, are probably a little bit, their color's a little bit strong. That yellow is strong. Deborah Storch hates that color. I'm going to go on the record to say that. And she said it many times to us, how much she hates that color. So we're going to do a new color scheme on this building. And we're obviously working with Deborah on that. The mayor wanted us to do a mural, like a Welcome to Hialeah mural. And we're actually going to do that. If you go to the page where it says elevations, you can see a conceptual mural of what we're going to do. So it's going to have a couple of murals. We're going to improve the Three Friends Park, which is there, which is really a vacant lot. It's not even being used as a park. It's actually locked. And we're actually going to take monies and give it to the city, or actually do the improvements to create a dog park with some parking so that people could actually go and use it. So it's really transformative of that whole area. You're going to create a public space, you're going to create neighborhood retail, and you're going to have a welcome sign to the city of Hialeah that you could really see from Okeechobee and from Lejeune Road. You can see from the other pages what exactly we're trying to do. If you go where it says land use, you can see what we're actually trying to change is the area that's a portion of Park Drive and a portion of the empty city lot, which we're going to do a land swap with. And that's what we're actually changing the land use today, from residential to the commercial designation, from medium density to commercial. In terms of my presentation, I think that's all I have. But if you have any questions, I'm here to answer it. Or if your planner has any questions for me or your city attorney, I'm here to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you, Felix. One question on the mural.
Yes.
Is that the big cafeteria right there?
Yes.
Well, she has, Deborah wants that cafeteria. Yeah.
I
But
like it.
the mural's what's
You
on
came
the
up with
side
that
of the
idea?
building.
So I like it. I love it.
The idea was to have a Navarro that when someone said, if you are drunk and you're entering into Hialeah and you see the cafeteria and that mural, you will know that you're in Hialeah.
Oh, that's for sure. It's unique.
Yeah.
I like it.
Well, the best thing is getting rid of that motel there because that thing is,
It's rough.
every time you pass by there, I mean, you don't see nothing pretty. It's nothing pretty about that.
It's rough, man. It's rough. I get
And
it.
that's lately.
Well,
Go back a few decades.
Yep.
Oh my, before they did Okeechobee. Oh,
But you should give that sign, the Palacio Motel sign, to Factory Sound.
Yeah, as a historical thing. It's probably actually not a bad idea. And the area really, if you look at the old Holiday Inn, and Mr. Perez will appreciate this, the Holiday Inn has been completely redone,
right.
and it
Yeah.
actually looks super nice. It's done an incredible restoration.
it's a whole different thing.
Whole different thing,
Beautiful.
right? So, I mean, it's a great area. Southeast Hialeah, it has a lot of potential, and we're excited to be doing this project.
The Holiday Inn, directly across from the Holiday Inn, this would date me a little bit. There used to be a nightclub called the Brasserie.
Uh-huh.
Well, are you going
You
back?
remember that? You remember that? Ah, man, that was the place. That was the hangout, but that's decades ago.
Righty.
Good deal. Comments or questions?
Yes, through the chair.
Yes, sir.
I'm a little confused.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the last two pages.
Mhm.
So are we converting the park? Or is
No,
it
no.
just,
No.
No,
The part, let me, because this drawing is not perfect, so let me go and explain.
and there's a corner, it says R1, R1, R2, R1.
Yeah.
This. Currently, this is the park. This is the park.
This is a residential, the park is
Yeah.
here.
This is the park.
I must say, Felix, the colors are pretty
The
loud.
park is this.
This is the park too.
No,
But
this will
it's
stay. This
different.
belongs to
It's
us.
Oh, yeah.
eye catching.
So
Oh,
we
for
are
sure.
giving them this, and they bought this house and they are giving this. to us.
CVS owns Navarro.
This will be city.
So,
and this
yeah,
will be
CVS
Navarro.
owns Navarro.
So the park, this is the part. of
Yeah,
the
well, I
park
mean,
that-
it's, yeah, it'll be on Navarro, but it'll
And
be,
this?
you know, we just put CVS because
That
they're
is
the
our-
parent company. Yeah.
ours, but don't have-
And then Park Drive will be
Yeah, great.
eliminated.
Hopefully the rest of the motels start to get
Yeah.
bought off as well. There's a snowball. Yeah,
This will be a
I
park.
would agree.
This
Looks
will
good. I like it.
remain as a park.
Keep going up.
This also. And the street
Yeah.
configuration will.
You remember all the houses and
So we're getting rid of.
motels and stuff that used to be
Park
on the
Drive,
other side of the
this
canal? They
existing
were
Park
actually
Drive
sitting on stilts.
Becomes their driveway, because this is
Yeah.
FDOT, so they need to.
We're gonna open this
Entrance to
entrance
Hialeah.
Yes.
and close this.
That's gonna be the entrance to
Make it
Hialeah.
It is.
No,
Yeah.
here,
Yeah.
this is,
But if we can
you
just-
drive here, you
go to
connect
Navarro.
from here, you go to Navarro.
You don't have to go all the way.
Street,
Yes.
or you can exit from here. but
They undermine the
So it's
access
gonna be
structure.
a thoroughway.
This here, but this will be
Yes.
open and will be all pavers, and this will be the parking for the ones that come to the park.
These two parks.
These two parks.
Oh, okay, okay. And then this would just remain the green area.
This belongs to the city, and it's the
Yeah.
church for the June Road.
Got it.
So at the beginning, they wanted this, but was impossible.
That's
to
Miami
get.
Springs
That's why
Center.
they
So then
came up
they're
with this.
We're
kind of
talking
like
in our-
donating this park.
No, but I'm saying for the one that you're saying now. that's-
Yeah.
That's this,
This
It's on
piece
both
in exchange for
and
this.
in exchange for this, and we had an appraisal.
So then we're gonna own all this.
And then
Okay.
we're gonna appraise and.
Well, you know, another place you see them a lot is right along Red Road, right by the cemetery.
Oh, yeah.
Between the cemetery and
Like,
the Palmetto.
yeah.
All, they're all hanging out by the,
So I explained them the plan, so now they know what we are swapping and how we are consolidating, how you are consolidating the lot.
thank you. Any comments or questions?
Motion to approve.
John, do you have any comments? or questions? Any comments or questions from the audience? Anyone in the electronic audience? Close to the public hearing. What's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve.
second that motion?
Motion by Mr. Jimenez, second by Mr. Iglesias. Mrs. Enrique,
Yes.
Mr. D. Perez.
Yes.
Mr. Ulloa,
Yes.
Mr. Jimenez,
Yes.
Mr. Iglesias,
Yes.
item has been approved.
Thank you.
I like the cafeteria.
Let's do it.
And I like the renderings, very nice.
You like them?
You need them back or?
No, no, you get out, you get out.
The following item is related to this one, that is the reasoning.
Okay, so we're going to close out the land use part of the meeting. And we're going to open up the regular planning and zoning board meeting, and everyone and everything will be grandfathered in from the swearing in and all that other good stuff. So we just smooth transition.
Item number 1. Approval of planning and zoning board summary agenda of August 9th, 2023 as submitted.
Motion to approve.
Second that motion?
Motion by Mrs. Rica, second by Mr. Iglesias and Mr. Ulloa. Mr. Jimenez,
Yes.
Mr. Iglesias,
Yes.
Mr. Ulloa.
Yes.
Mrs. Enrique.
Yes.
Mr. D. Perez.
Yes.
Item has been approved.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
A written decision and resolution will be prepared and presented for review to the city council. The city council is authorized to affirm with conditions or override the decisions by resolution. After the resolution is adopted, contact the member of the city clerk's office to obtain a copy of the final decision or resolution. Upon your receipt of the final decision or resolution, contact the building department to obtain your required building permit. Summary minutes or a copy of the audio file, the proceedings before the planning and zoning board shall be prepared and submitted to the city council before its hearing.
Felix, you're not leaving yet, are you? Well, you have another item.
You have the rezoning. Yes. No, that was the land use.
That was
Now-
the land use. You have 2 items.
That was
No,
the
we
land
just voted on
use,
your land use.
And now you're done.
No, we voted on the summary
Or if
agenda.
you want, we can table it for the next one.
The planning and zoning board recommendations for the following public hearing requests will be heard by the city council at a scheduled meeting of Tuesday, September 12th, 2023. Item number 2. Rezoning property from R1 one family district to C2 liberal retail commercial district. Property is located at the northwest intersection of Southeast Eighth Court and Park Drive. Lot 8 and a portion of Lot 6, Block 3 of 36th Street lawns, according to PV 24-38 of the Public Records of Miami-Dade County. Hialeah zoned to R1, one family district. Applicant Felix M. Lasarte Esquire.
Felix Lasarte with offices at 3250 Northeast First Avenue. I'm here for representing the applicant.
Thank you.
I will skip the first paragraph, that is the location, that you already know the location. So the subject properties have R1 zoning as most properties in the block, except for one property facing Southeast 12th Street that has R2 zoning. The adjacent block to the south has C3 and C2 zoning, and the properties on the east side of Southeast 8th Court have R3, R1, and C3 zoning. At this time, the applicant is requesting rezoning from R1 to C2 to make the zoning consistent with the land use amendment to commercial that is in process. The redevelopment proposal will change the configuration of the block where the subject lots are located and the adjacent lot to the south, as well as the right-of-ways. The proposed new block configuration opens an opportunity to replace the existing outdated buildings. The proposed building maintains the general character of the Navarro CVS brand, downtoning the typical vibrant yellow paint and eliminating the ironwork intended to recreate balconies. The facades will incorporate Hialeah-related art on the accent portions of the southeast, southwest, and east facades that are the one visible from Lejeune and Okeechobee Road. And a distinctive cafetera sign will be placed at the southernmost area of the lot. The intent of the proposal is to incorporate the local flair to the chain brand and highlight this important city entrance. Since the proposed zoning is compatible with the land use change in process and the new development will upgrade an important city intersection, the requested rezoning shall be approved.
Thank you, Mr. Storage. Mr. Lasarte.
Mr. Chairman, my comments from the previous presentation, I'll put them for the record. This is a rezoning. It's really to comply with the previously approved land use, and it's really to convert that one strip that we're getting from the city and the right of way to C2.
Thank you. Comments or questions? Anyone in the audience? Anyone in the electronic audience? Closes part of the hearing. It's a pleasure of the board.
Motion to approve.
Second that motion.
Motion by Mr. Iglesias, second by Mr. Jimenez. Mr. D. Perez,
Yes.
Mrs. Enriquez,
Yes.
Mr. Ulloa,
Yes.
Mr. Jimenez,
Yes.
Mr. Iglesias,
Yes.
item has been approved.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 3, rezoning properties from RO Residential Office District and R1 One Family District to B1 Highly Restricted Retail District. And variance permit to allow in 17% pervious area where 18 is the minimum required. Properties are located at 218 East 49th Street and 226 East 49th Street. Hialeah zoned RO Residential Office District and R1 One Family District. Applicant Cesar Mestre Esquire.
Thank you. Mr. Mister.
Good evening, Cesar Mestre with offices at 8105 Northwest 155th Street, Miami Lakes, Florida.
Thank you, sir. Good evening.
Good evening.
The properties in this application are two adjacent 52.50 feet by 130.66 feet parcels informally subdivided from a tract. The properties are located on the south side of East 49th Street between East 2nd Avenue and East 3rd Avenue. 218 East 49th Street has residential office land use and 226 East 49th Street has low density residential land use. Both properties were built in the 1950s and are currently used consistently with their existing land uses. The land use of the properties was changed earlier this year. The land use was amended to commercial in relation to redevelopment proposal, consolidating both properties and replacing the existing structures with a new two-story office building with parking on the side and rear of the building. This proposal follows an existing trend along 49th Street where 1950 homes converted into offices are replaced with new structures that can better serve current business needs. The submitted plans show a proposed development that is consistent with the intent of the residential office designation and therefore compatible with the residential office zoning on the block, and that will effectively buffer the low-density residential properties adjacent to the south. The only difference is that it will be allowed to obtain more than 2 occupational licenses. At this time, the applicant is before the city requesting a rezoning from RO to B1 in order to make the zoning consistent with the commercial land use. A variance is also requested to allow 17% pervious area where 18% is required. Since the requested zoning is consistent with the land use and compatible with adjacent zoning classifications, the rezoning shall be approved. As for the pervious area reduction, the required drainage system on this property will take care of the pervious area minimal deficit. The recommendation is approval.
Thank you, Mrs. George. Mr. Messer?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, Cesar Mestre. These 2 lots on 49th Street were before you earlier this year, and you recommended that we change the land use, and it was approved by the council to commercial. So we're here for the second part of that, which is the rezoning. The properties are south on 49th Street. It's the third, next slide, and fourth lots from Second Avenue going towards Third Avenue. Next slide. As you can see here, the blue are the RO zoning lots, and one of them is in blue. The other one is not in blue. That one is residential. So we're putting them both together and demolishing the existing structures and going with a new 2-story building. Next slide. This is the plans. It's a 2-story building. It's going to have 2 offices of about 1,200 square feet on the second floor and a smaller office on the first floor. The parking requirement is 22 spaces and we have 23. Next slide. Just to show you the drawings, the layout. It's going to be a modern looking, minimalistic building. Next slide. Just showing you the layout of the parking. Next slide. This is one of the buildings that's next door to the property that we're rezoning. And as Deborah said, this is going to be basically the same as an RO, where you can have a medical office, except for the fact that we will be able to have more than 2 licenses on the property. So based on the land use that's already been amended to commercial, we're asking you to please recommend the rezoning, and the variance is very minimal. So we ask you to please recommend approval of that as well. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Messer. Any comments or questions? Anyone in the audience have a comment or question on this item? Anyone in the electronic audience? Close the public hearing. Was a pleasure of the board.
Motion,
To approve?
second that motion.
Motion by Mrs. Enriquez and Mr. Jimenez, second by Mr. Iglesias. Mr. Ulloa,
Yes.
Mr. D. Perez,
Yes.
Mrs. Enriquez,
Yes.
Mr. Iglesias,
Yes.
Mr. Jimenez.
Yes.
Item has been approved.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, you did date yourself with the Brasserie comment, by the way.
I'm sorry?
You did date yourself with the
I
Brasserie.
know, I know.
I heard about that place, but I wasn't old enough to go, so I know it's a long time.
Oh, it was a hot place.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. So item number 4 and item number 6 actually need to be withdrawn from the agenda to be re-advertised. I'm gonna go ahead and read the addresses. So for item number 4, the address is 6491 West 2nd Avenue, Hialeah Zoned R1, 1 Family District. And for item number 6 is 21 East 59th Street, Hialeah Zoned R1, 1 Family District.
We advertised them at both our schools, and then when I was preparing the report, I realized that on R1, you cannot have a school, so they still need to rezone the property to R3. They both have a major institution land use, so we need to re-advertise and bring it back. Not the next meeting, because we already advertised.
Yeah, the
but it
deadline
will be the following.
But it would be on September 20th.
Okay, so withdrawn.
So item number 4 and item number 6 have been withdrawn from the agenda. Item number 5, Variance permit to allow 200 parking spaces where 378 parking spaces are required to incorporate the use of a sports and recreational instruction facility of 11,740 square feet in an existing non-conforming industrial building. Property is located at 213 Southeast 10th Avenue, Hialeah zoned M1 Industrial District. Applicant Team Sosa Baseball on behalf of ASB's 10th Avenue Holdings LLC.
Team Sosa Baseball available? Name and address, please.
Good afternoon. Jordi Esteban, 7740 Southwest 104th Street in Pinecrest. I am the Esteban Design Studio. I'm the architect that is assisting Team Sosa with the variance and permitting process.
Thank you. We'll read it into the record and then we can put the floor.
Thank you.
The property in this application is a 388 square feet warehouse located on the east side of Southeast 10th Avenue, south of Hialeah Drive, across the street from a residential area. The property is non-conforming since it was developed between 1957 and 1996 with 200 parking spaces, while the current requirement of parking spaces for industrial uses would amount to 310 parking spaces. The site also includes 18 truck loading spaces. The building is currently subdivided into 4 bays, where bays 1, 2, and 3 are used as industrial, and bay 2 has office area exceeding 10% of its floor area, resulting in a parking requirement of 319 parking spaces. Bay 4, with floor area of 11,740 square feet, is proposed to be used as a baseball training facility, which would require 59 additional parking spaces. At this time, the applicant is before the city requesting a parking variance to allow 200 parking spaces where 378 are required for the existing uses and proposed baseball training facility. The plans submitted in the application state that the industrial uses on Bay 1 to 3 have 195 employees and no visitors, and that the proposed baseball training facility will have 6 employees and 20 visitors, demanding 221 parking spaces. If all bays operate at the same time, at the same business hours, the 200 parking spaces that include 8 accessible parking spaces would not be enough to accommodate the 221 parking spaces demand. Given that the existing parking count satisfies the existing parking demand for the industrial uses, the incorporation of the baseball training facility could only work on the site if its business hours do not coincide with the existing uses on the site. The application states that the proposed training facility will not draw permanent visitors to the training facility, since it will have scheduled supervised users throughout limited hours in the afternoon after the adjacent base working hours. However, no detail on the hours of operation has been provided. The requested parking variance could only be granted with the condition that the baseball training facility and warehouse business hours do not coincide. Accordingly, a declaration of restrictive covenants will be necessary to state the proposed business schedules to ensure parking availability and to avoid cars parking on the swale areas adjacent to the property or across the street fronting residential properties. The recommendation is approved subject to alternate hours of operation. So you will have to work with our law department in creating that declaration of restrictions, but you will need to come up with the hours by observing what is happening there. We really don't know. Maybe they work until 3 p.m. and then after 3 p.m. the parking is empty, or maybe they work in different shifts, so there's always availability. You need to explain how the parking will work, so we can have some limitations, and weekends probably there's no limitations because probably the industrial base don't work. So you need to come up with a formula of how you want to do that, so we can incorporate it into the declaration of restrictions.
So we do that separately.
You do that separately before the next council meeting. You will need to figure out what to do and be in touch with Alex, the assistant city attorney, and he will prepare the covenant with the restrictions that you will tell us which are the hours that you think that are the correct ones.
Okay, because one of the clarifications that I wanted to make is that we do need to ask for some overlap of the operating hours, because there is a very reduced number of training going on throughout the day for older university athletes. And that the higher volume, let's say the school age kids, don't come in until after 5 o'clock. So there is a
You will have to analyze all that and give that language to us.
Okay.
And we will put that into account. I don't want to say after 5 p.m. or after 6 p.m. because I really don't know. So you will have to tell us, and you will have also to observe what happens with the existing industrial uses, because maybe employees go to work very early and at 2 they leave. We really don't know. You have to tell us how it works.
okay.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
Can you just briefly describe what it is that you're gonna do there? Is it like a baseball field or training or?
It's a private baseball training facility. So Ricardo Sosa is the owner, he's the trainer. It's a limited one-on-one training facility, so it's all by appointment. It is not a gym that's open to the public that anybody can just come in and on their own schedule. It's a scheduled, supervised and assisted training facility. So that's how they control the use.
Okay, and that will be indoors or outdoors?
It's indoors. Yeah, it's an indoor training facility.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Any comments or questions? Go ahead.
I'm aware of the facilities I've seen before. It's very good. It's for younger kids and even older kids. I took my son to one of them, but it was all the way in Westchester. I'm glad that they're putting one here in Hialeah.
Your microphone.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. And I had my son in one of those training facilities, but it was all the way in Westchester, and hopefully they do it this one here, they do it the right way.
Last year. Yeah.
You need to complete.
Yeah, come up here, sir. Yeah. Yeah, come up here to the microphone, just say your name and address and just say your piece. Name and address,
My address or the business?
your address, name and address.
Oh, business address. I have to see here. Oh, I'm sorry. You have it? 213 Southeast 10th Avenue, Hialeah.
Your name?
Ricardo Sosa.
Okay, go ahead.
So last year we made in the draft the first round from here from Hialeah. So I work with a lot of players, with like MLB players, with JD Martinez, Giancarlo Stanton, Miguel Cabrera. It's a lot of Hall of Fame work here in Hialeah. And we make like a lot of guys from universities, like college, like they send me players, the organization send me players to like develop. So we do a lot of good things for the city.
Okay. Any comments or questions?
No, I think it's very good. Very good.
All right.
It's really nice. I don't have a picture, but like it's good. Like you guys see it. I have a video if you want to see it.
That's fine.
Thank you.
Any comments or
That is
questions
very
from the
good for
audience?
city.
There you go.
Come up here, name and address, please.
Nicholas Martin, 210 Southeast 9 Court, so right adjacent to the building. Like council was saying, we just wanted clarification on what the hours of operation is going to be. Our only concern is that as residents, since we live in the adjacent block, as you guys know, that's an industrial zone. You got a residential zone right next door, just like as Ms. Storch was saying. So our only concern is, like he said, he clarified it for us, and you guys need clarification as well. We just want to know that it's not going to be an influx of cars and people, because as residents, as you guys know, being that there are commercial buildings there, we all know the great city of Hialeah, nobody here owns just one car. Everybody owns 2 or 3 cars, and the businesses there are overflowing now onto our residential streets. So us as residents coming home 6, 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night, you're dead tired, and we got to park, miles down the road or on the next road over, and then now we're starting to, flow over. So we're not trying to, impose on any business. We obviously think it's great for the community. My brother-in-law is also a baseball coach, so I understand where he's coming from. We just want clarification that, you know, it's not gonna mess up the flow of what the residents are going through right now in that community. We're all for bettering the community, and we know it's an industrial zone, but as it is right now, we just drove by and it's a 200 space lot that it's already 75-80% full with just the workers that are there at 5 p.m. So we just don't want that, you know, and obviously we know it's going to bring good things to the city, but just let it be compliant to the Florida building code that we have now. Right. So if we're going to make the city better, then let's just make it compliant to where everybody's happy. And we have obviously he has a nice facility to come to, and we're not just coming to a 1980s parking lot with the old gates in the front. And then, you know, God forbid a grandmother or grandfather has to wait outside because there's no clear 88 circulation path to get where they have to go. You get me? That's all it is.
We understand. That's why we are requesting that the.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's just.
We hope that they will comply with that, but if not, we will have that recorded document and we will go back to them and say, hey, there is a problem with the parking. You will need to.
Yeah, no, you guys cleared it up. It was just the comment that we had. We just were scared as residents that now we got another 100 cars coming in and we have nowhere to park now. As residents.
Absolutely, but it is on record. It is on the record that they will need to provide the necessary information as far as hours of operation. And you're also on record stating your concern about parking and lack of and hours and all of that. So all of that will be squared away through the legal department, and we'll move.
You're welcome to come to the.
The next one,
meeting.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
When this
We're all
will be
for it.
heard and by that time, the declaration of restrictions, we should have a draft of that.
Okay.
So you will be able to see and.
No, we're all for it. We just didn't
Okay.
want to.
No, I have a question because like I said, I've experienced this before here, and there's sometimes that they bring in the little league teams. And then there'll be multiple people coming in. So now that you bring that up, it reminded me. So are you gonna be doing full teams? Like sometimes there's 12, 14 kids and sometimes they do it during the summer. And it gets.
No, we have like.
Speak in the microphone.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I have two teams from Hialeah either. Like I'm sponsored the team.
Yes.
So sometimes when it's raining, if the field is wet, I bring the guys.
Yeah, but then when it's the little kids, so the parents are the ones
Yeah.
driving in and everything. It's not just the players. I understand.
No, it's like two things. It's like one thing, like 10 years
So
old.
it's 12 kids. You're gonna
Yes,
have an average
yes.
of 24 cars coming in there. Would it be after hours?
No,
or-
no, one thing. I always do like,
See, but it's one team, but the team, you don't have a bus that brings the kids back and
No.
forth. The parents bring them,
Yeah.
obviously. And a team consists of 12 players, usually 12 players on each team. You do two teams, 24 cars. Average is what I'm thinking. Unless some kids share the rides.
no, it's like different. Like one team practice 6 to 5:30 to 7, and the other team practice 7 to 9.
So
It's when
the
it's flying.
application says no more than 20 visitors and 6
Yeah.
staff.
Everything is
members.
like.
That's the limitation.
Okay, so there's gonna be a limitation on that. Okay.
Hi, my name is Cynthia Sosa. If I'm able to speak when you're finished, please. Thank you.
So just to clarify, in the plan, you can see there's 4 batting cages in the space. So that really the use is determined by the amount of batting cages that you can get in there, right?
So
So
there's batting cages. Are there gonna be pitching cages too? Because usually they have pitching cages too.
Like I have 3 batting cage. It's only for hitting, like 2 guys at the time, and
Yeah.
the other batting cage for pitching.
For pitching, yeah. So
Yeah.
you have other ones for pitching.
Other 2 guys.
And you have weight training and everything too.
I have the weight training.
Yeah, you have the whole setup there. Yeah, it's gonna be a
Yeah.
nice setup, but there's gonna be a few people there at a time. So it is concerning, it has to be. He's aware of what's gonna happen. You're gonna have a few people there at a time. So mostly you're gonna be doing it after 5?
When the guy finish school, it's around 5.
Right. I don't know, how's that parking lot after 5?
No,
But like everybody's parking inside the thing, right?
Everybody parks inside the building. Like I said, I just passed by, it's maybe at about 80%, 85%, and that's just with the industrial workers. Like Ms. Storch was saying, we don't know the time zone, so that would be on them to do their homework.
So it's
Again-
85% full after 5 o'clock,
Right at 5. So I left work right now at 5:20 to get here by 5:30.
and it's 85% full.
It's about 80.
I would have thought it would
85%
be
full.
empty after 5.
Well, that's the thing. That's what Ms. Storch was saying. It's a commercial and industrial loading zone. So sometimes your trucker didn't make it at 3 o'clock by kill time, and he might come at whatever time it is. So you need the guys to unload. So like I said, I'm all for the business and I'm all for bringing up the community, just as long as that we're all on the same page, because, we all make promises, but sometimes we all don't keep them. So that's the only.
Okay, so this is gonna be subject to approval with conditions, I guess, right?
Right,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay, you're close over there.
Okay. Is that, you guys okay there?
Yeah,
All right. I see you on Zoom there. Give me 1 second and I'll get right at you. Is there anyone else in here in the audience that may have a comment or question? No? Okay, we have someone on Zoom. Please identify yourself, name and address.
Hi, my name is Cynthia Sosa. I am Ricardo Sosa's wife and also a resident of Hialeah. 7960 West 6th Avenue is my address.
Okay,
Yes, I just wanted to inform of this business. It's a small business that my husband has been working on this project. So in regards to the parking that the concerned citizen was, so usually after 5, I also take my son there to train. There's not an influx of parking, but we will get that clarified. So usually, and also about the baseball teams that he describes, that is not on a daily basis. When that happens, it's when it rains and if there is practice needed. But that is usually the parents, when we come in, we can take pictures and everything during the time zones. The parking lot is empty. For the most part, around 4:30, people start departing there. So the influx of the parking, we'll get it situated. But I've been there multiple of times and there hasn't been an influx of cars being parked outside. I've never seen that. But we will address the concern. But thank you for giving us the opportunity to present to you guys and to speak to you guys about the project.
thank you.
Thank you.
Any more comments or questions? I'll be okay. Closes the part of public hearing. What's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve with conditions,
Second.
and the conditions, you know which one they are already.
You understand the conditions, right?
And I think they'll be great.
Yes.
You do, okay.
That's a nice project. I like it. Thank you.
A motion by Mr. Iglesias, second by Mrs. Enriquez. Mr. G. Perez.
Yes.
Mr. Ulloa,
Yes.
Mr. Iglesias,
Yes.
Mrs. Enriquez,
Yes.
Mr. Jimenez.
Yes.
Item has been approved with conditions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 7, conditional use permit to allow a 4-classroom seminary in existing freestanding building with a maximum capacity of 25 students. Variance permit to allow 1 parking space where 32 parking spaces are required and allow 144 square feet of pervious area where 1,350 square feet pervious area is required. Property is located at 25 East 4th Street, Hialeah Zones, CBD, Central Business District. Applicant, Lonnie Richardson.
Name and address, please.
25 East 4th Street, Lonnie Richardson. How are you?
Were you sworn in?
I wasn't.
Okay, please raise your hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank
Oh my
you.
God. It's great to be here. Just thank you, Mr. Chairman. and
Okay.
Mrs. Chairman.
She's gonna read it into the record and then we'll open the floor for you. You can go at it.
Lovely.
Thank you.
The property in this application is located on the north side of East 4th Street, east of Palm Avenue, within Hialeah's downtown, and is zoned CBD, Central Business District. It includes a 2-story, 8,175 square feet commercial building with a 20-feet setback at the front and no on-site parking. When the building was originally built, the property included the subject parcel and 2 adjacent parcels on the west side of the property that were developed as the parking and pervious area for the subject building. Around 2004, the subject building was sold separately from the 2 parcels that included the building's parking, causing the subject property to become non-conforming. Over the years, the property was used for a laboratory selling natural medicines, mostly online, and later as a training center for people with disabilities. The current owner bought the property in 2022 for the purpose of establishing a religious seminary that will start with 7 students and has the goal to have a maximum of 25 students in the future. The seminarists will be between 14 and 16 years old and will be taught by a rabbi. Seminarists will be transported to and from the facility. Given that the front setback can only accommodate 1 accessible parking space, The rabbi and occasional visitors will utilize on-street parking or park in the paid parking garage behind City Hall. The building will undergo some remodeling to comply with the building code requirements for the proposed use. To be able to establish the proposed use at this location, the applicant is requesting a conditional use permit to allow a 4-classroom, 25-participant seminary on an existing freestanding non-conforming building, and a variance permit to allow 1 on-site parking space where 32 parking spaces are required, and a variance to allow 144 feet pervious area where 1,320 square feet are required. Since the nonconformity was not self-inflicted, the requested parking and pervious area variances shall be granted. The nature of the proposed use where seminaries will be driven to and from the facility, the expected staff and visitors amount is limited, and parking may very well be absorbed by the nearby parking facilities. There will be no impact on traffic or surrounding uses. Accordingly, the conditional use permit shall be approved. Recommendation approval.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. Mr. Richardson?
Yes, sir. First of all, I'd like to say I'm very excited to be here. And it's been amazing dealing with every one of you. And Baruch Hashem, we say, I'm very blessed. Hialeah has always been very good to me and my family. I'm an attorney for over 20 years. I've had no problems. And I'd say that 99% of my clients are Cuban, and goes for my friends too. I'm from up north, and I'll tell you, I found a home here. And I'm a religious Jewish person. I'm a rabbi in one regard, I'm an attorney in another, I'm a father. I counsel a lot of people on a regular basis. And thank God we have an opportunity to open a seminary. One of the things I've always wanted to do is to put it in this community. And I found a building in which I could do it. And it's next to the safest, most admirable parts and components of the city. When you're the mayor, when you're the fire department, you're the police. I mean, to integrate these kids, and they're little kids, none of them have driver's license PS. We don't really let our kids drive at that age. We don't even let them use iPhones. I know this sounds very foreign to most people who have kids, but it's really not good for us. So we try to, we say something in Judaism, we say we try to build a fence around things in order to protect ourselves, and so we can do the work of God. So one of the fences that we do is, you try to keep them around, like a good fence, a healthy fence around some of the technology, phones and stuff like that. So we have a real captive audience that wants to learn about Judaism, learn about God, Torah, and basically be involved in the community. We'll be doing all kinds of community service. It'll blow your mind. We'll be giving food out. We'll be becoming partners in the community. And our goal ultimately is to have more of these schools and more of these children. They wear black pants, black shoes, sometimes LeBrons because they play ball, and they wear white shirts, black hats, jackets. They'll shine in your community. You have no idea. They're good. They're zero prejudice or negative in their body. All they want to do is care for one another, and they all want to be rabbis, which is pretty great. And sometimes they become lawyers, but they're rabbis. They become doctors and they're rabbis, and try to take that through the community. So as I said to the mayor, and as I say to this board, that I think this would be an amazing relationship. And I'm 52, but I hope to have many, many years to see this community grow with my community and be partners in this community. I see it to be the beginning. I don't think you probably had a lot of people stand before you and mention this and say these things, but I want to be the beginning to say that this will happen. And if I can, God willing, buy as many buildings as I can. And I try to bring my people here to live here and to surround their seminary, to surround, God willing, in the future, their shuls, their synagogue, and to bring a whole new light into the community. I think it's a great team, and we're on the same team. So to discuss further about the parking, kids don't drive. We get those transit vans, and the parents drive them in. They carpool. The pickup one of them is in North Miami Beach, and another family member is going to drop them off. All the parents work tirelessly full time. Most of the parents are also rabbis or something in that field, pretty close to it, or they work at another school, or they're an administrator in some type of Jewish organization. So the kids will be dropped off. They'll be, hopefully like a circular in and out, because there's enough to do a drop off area, just like, in many schools, kind of like a little half circle. And very minimal audience that I have right now. We're trying to teach some great skills. And one of the rabbis that we have is good with trade. like everything from electric work and to plumbing to, teaching. So we're going to have pretty much no more than one rabbi at any time at the seminary. When they come, they'll find street parking. I love, it's such an easy street, such an easy area. There's parking all around. And I mean, I go there at all hours at night to see. So it's I can really promise this community and really guarantee you parking will never be an issue. We're literally strictly drop off. There will be one rabbi, and I know one of my rabbis literally share a car with his wife, very modest people. He'll probably get dropped off. I may even drive him in. So if there is any more than one person, I know my instructions are to make sure they find street parking. So I just want to, if you have any questions, please ask me. I'm so very excited. Thank you.
Thank you. Sounds like you got a good plan there.
Yes, sir.
Good luck.
Thank you.
We need some programs like that around here, especially you're like, what, just behind the building?
Yeah.
I mean, good deal. Comments or questions?
Not at all. Go for it.
Okay. Anyone in the audience have a comment or question on this item? Anyone in the electronic item? In the electronic audience? No? Close the part of the public hearing. What's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve. Second that motion?
Motion by Mrs. Enriquez and Mr. Jimenez, second by Mr. Iglesias. Mr. D. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Ulloa,
Yes.
Mr. Jimenez,
Yes.
Mrs. Enriquez,
Yes.
Mr. Iglesias,
Yes.
item has been approved.
Thank you so very much. Have a blessed evening. Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too. Good night. Item number 8, special use permit to allow the expansion of the neighborhood business district overlay. Variance permit to allow 50% of the units with an area of 705 square feet or 850 square feet is the minimum area required. And allow 10% and only 10% of the units can have an area of 600 square feet. Allow building height of 64 feet where 55 feet is the maximum building height allowed. Allow 26 parking spaces where 28 parking spaces are required. And variance to waive the building mass and building frontage development standards. Property is located at 20 West 40th Place, Hialeah zones R33, multiple family districts. Applicant VGM Capital Holdings LLC.
Thank you. Name and address, please.
Good afternoon, Andres Guarihuata, 3945 Adra Avenue in Joao.
Thank you.
The property in this application is a vacant lot located on the south side of West 40th Street and is the second lot west of Palm Avenue. The property has medium density residential land use and R33 zoning and is between an R32 zone property and a commercial property fronting Palm Avenue. The properties on the north side of West 40th Place, directly in front of the property, are zoned R32. There are 1- and 2-story buildings along West 40th Place, west of Palm Avenue, mostly developed in the late 1950s, early 1960s. The applicant is before the city with a proposal to develop the lot with a new 4-story urban contemporary style apartment building with an 18-stall parking on part of the first floor, screened by a proposed gym and a garage door. 8 of the proposed parking spaces would have car lifts, increasing the parking count to a total of 26 spaces. The building will include 12 residential units, 2 2-bedroom units, 2 3-bedroom units, and 4 1-bedroom units. The roof is proposed to include a terrace to be shared by all units and 2 private terraces directly accessible from the 3-bedroom units. To be able to develop the property as proposed, the applicant is requesting a special use permit to allow the expansion of the MBD regulations to this property that is directly adjacent to a commercial property facing Palm Avenue that is within Area 1 of the Neighborhood Business District Overlay. Variances are also requested to allow 50% of the units with area of 750 square feet, where 850 square feet is the minimum required, and only 10% of the units, 1 unit, may have an area of 600 square feet. Parking variance to allow 26 parking spaces, including 8 car lifts, where 28 parking spaces are required, and variance to waive mass and building frontage requirements. The expansion of the MBD regulations could be approved since the location of the property, almost adjacent to an MBD designated corridor, makes the expansion reasonable. Although the area in general has low-rise buildings, the proposed four-story building will be compatible with four-story apartment buildings developed in the 1970s and newly developed three-story buildings in the proximity along Palm Avenue. The unit size may also be approved since it is only for 30% of the units, and the parking variance could also be approved since enough parking is provided to allocate 2 parking spaces per unit and still provide 2 additional parking spaces. The recommendation is approval.
Thank you, Mrs. Storch.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. So what's your relation to VGM Capital Holdings?
VGM is a registered developer. I am one of the partners.
You're a manager?
Could be. Yes.
You're a manager of
Yeah,
VGM?
I'm part of VGM Capitals, yeah.
What was your name?
Andres Guariguata with G. VGM Capital is the registered developer, and I am 30% partner on the venture.
Sunbiz doesn't show you as a manager.
She's the owner.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. That's
Yeah.
fine. That's what we needed.
Okay, cool.
Silent partner back there.
Very silent.
Would you, just for the record, would you mind coming up here and identifying yourself, please? Name, address, and your actual ownership.
Valka Rodriguez, 175 Southwest, 7th Street, Suite 2309.
And you are the owner of the operation.
Yes, well, I'm a partner, yes.
Well-
VGM Capital Holding representing the partners.
Thank you. So you authorized these two gentlemen to represent you.
Yes.
Does that work for you, Alex? Thank you. You're on the record.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Comments or questions?
Well, Mrs. Stewart left nothing for me to say. So I'm just I would like to see this eventually move forward so we can have a a beautiful 12 apartment building right there where now it's an empty lot. So I would love to get approved.
Thank you.
You already developed a property in the city. What's the address
What was that?
of the property you developed? What's the address?
No. It's in the same lot. Remember that?
No,
we-
but didn't you develop another property?
No,
over
not
there?
it. This is our first project. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Comments or questions?
Not at all.
Anyone in the audience? Okay. Let him. Name and address, please.
Juan Leon, 30 West 41st Street. I own properties across the street from them. I feel that,
Were you sworn in?
no,
Okay. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
yes,
Thank you, sir. Please go ahead.
I own properties across the street and I've been looking at that vacant lot for a while. And the original property that was there, the house was a frame house that was in bad condition. And I think that this project will be a good improvement to the area. And I think it'll work very good.
Thank you. sir.
By the way, Mr. Leon is an engineer that works. I have known him for 20 years. He built many projects in the city, so well, his opinion is valuable.
And like Deborah covered, there's the adjacent zoning is R32, which is 2 stories. And if I'm not mistaken, you can have the first floor as parking, so you can be 3 stories. So I hope that
Good.
you approve the project and it goes forward.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any more comments or questions?
So the chair, so in other words, they're a good neighbor.
Just like a good neighbor. All right, anyone in the electronic audience? Closes our public hearing. What's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve.
Second that motion.
Motion by Mr. Iglesias, second by Mr. Jimenez. Mr. D. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Ulloa,
Yes.
Mr. Jimenez.
Yes.
Mrs. Enriquez,
Yes.
Mr. Iglesias,
Yes.
item has been approved.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Thank you.
When you come back to the council meeting, it would be a good idea if you stand up and identify yourself as the. Okay, no, it evidently, Alex, was it not depicted on the application or I noticed you had
He's
some
just not
doubt.
listed as an owner, and to be able to speak on an item, you have to either
You-
be the owner or be authorized by the
Authorized,
owner.
right. So just, it'll make it a little bit smoother. It wasn't painful, just name and address and. Thank you. Good night.
Miscellaneous items not requiring advertising. Item number 9, new business. No old business. Item number 10, new business. Okay, no new business.
No new business?
Well,
Okay.
remember that the next meeting will be on September 6th because we had to change the meetings in September since our Wednesdays were taken by the city council to go over the budget. So the next meeting will be on September 6th.
Very simple, Deborah. As long as we get the packet the Friday before, we know we're on the hook.
Yeah, I'm just telling you, so you don't take off with your RV.
You had to go there. You had to go. All right, that being said, meeting is adjourned.